Welcome to a Squared Conversation, where I'll be having discussions with impactors and community drivers in the Philadelphia running and fitness scene who inspire all of us to show up for our community authentically. I'm your host, Aaron Nixon. Join me and a special guest each episode as we dive into the who we are, why we show up every day for those around us, unpacking beyond the surface conversation by welcoming vulnerability, love, and grace. Hey everyone, today I have the pleasure of having one of the most community-driven people that I know. He is the founder of OPAC, Original Propaganda Athletic Club, Lululemon Ambassador alum. He is also the host of OPAC Relays, and he is known as the Godfather of the Philadelphia running community. Welcome everyone, my friend Lionel Brodie.
What up, though?
Dude, it's so good to have you. This is like so long overdue.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I'm humbled to be here. The Godfather thing is like a cringe moment that I feel like Chris King made up, but
that was a moment.
I'm humbled to have it bestowed upon me. So
yeah,
I appreciate it.
Dude, I mean, you definitely are the Godfather. You know, I remember meeting you when I started at Philadelphia Runner in 2021. And I think at first there was like this intimidating aspect to you because I had like followed you first before I actually met you. And I was just seeing like all the love and like the comments and like your posts. And I'm like, wow, this dude is like really popping. And I think the first event, you had some type of Lululemon event outside of the store with your running group. And I was like, oh, wow, like Brodie is definitely someone. And then when I finally got to meet you, it was like, oh, dude, this is like the realest guy ever.
It probably was anniversary or something. Was it in the summertime?
It was definitely in the summertime.
Yeah,
it was warm weather.
Yeah, it's probably our anniversary falls in July. Mm-hmm. And no, man, I'm a Leo, man. So I just give off Leo like vibes and energy. And I talk way too much shit, so it just, it just is what it is, man.
Yeah. But dude, I love it. I love it. It's so real and authentic. I'm an Aries, so it's the fire sign. So sometimes I want to show up and like come in hot, but I'm like, wait.
Leo's a fire sign too.
And it's like got to slow down a little bit, So we have that in common.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, it's really good that we're able to connect, man. I feel like one of the most busiest people that I know. Like, how do you manage, man? I feel like you need a personal assistant.
Dude. It's I'm the most unorganized person on earth too, which is funny. I have a phone planner, tangible work planner, a tangible OPAC planner, and then like a notepad. It's a lot of I'm 45, so I like to write stuff down, and I love the feeling of like crossing something out. Like, remember back in the day when you had like a phone, like a landline or like a flip phone that you could hang up on somebody and it made a sound? It was just like so gratifying.
It was so final.
Yeah. And now if you like press the button, it's not the same thing. So like when it comes to like checking stuff off the to-do list, I call it the TDL, like to cross something off. It's just so gratifying. It's just time management, man. Like I try to, when you wake up, you got to, you're like no 9 to 5 is really 9 to 5, but like you're allotting time to like do your work.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to set aside time to do like the passion project, the OPAC work, but then also be a good husband. You know what I'm saying? Like spend the time with the fur pets that I need to spend, be a good brother, so none of it's perfect, like we all on an external side look like we're thriving, but I say it all the time, like, dude, we're all externally thriving but crumbling on the inside. You know what I'm saying? Like same. I'll go to the car after this, have another coffee, and then like namaste or woosah or whatever it is, like for sure,
especially before you go into like another environment where you're giving energy again. It's kind of like, all right, I need to like get this back for myself before I give it out to somebody else. The past few years for you have been super busy, right? Like 2023, 2024 with like getting married, and then also like with OPAC Relays and just like doing your day-to-day like life stuff, and then also social media content with Philadelphia Runner and like blogging. Like, how do you carve out that space for yourself too? Like, I know you said having your coffee. Like, is there a certain morning routine that you have?
I normally wake up every day during the week at 4.
4 in the morning?
Yeah, 4 a.m. Regardless of what time I go to sleep. Sometimes it backfires. The other night I watched The Good Shepherd until like 2.
Yeah.
And I knew it was a problem. I knew it was going to be a problem.
Like 2 hours to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like a nap kind of.
Yeah.
So, but I wake up early because I don't like to rush. So this gives me the proper time to like wake up, shower, pick out what I'm going to wear, iron it, and then sit down and have some time to like, I'm just going to sit here and close my eyes for a little bit.
Yeah.
Or if I need to jump into some OPAC stuff before I go to work,
Hmm.
I can do that then. So it's not such of a burden at the end of the day. And then on the weekends, it's like a 5 o'clock. I just don't like rushing. I
Yeah.
feel like being late is unforgivable. And so if I can get there at my own pace, I
Yeah.
don't have to rush, I'm less stressed,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna show up in a better situation. And then on Sundays I sleep real hard,
Hmm.
you
Okay.
know.
Sundays are the rest
And
day.
then some
Yeah.
nights I just like I'm not doing anything. I come home from work, I'm gonna watch Law and Order or something
Hmm.
mindless on TV.
Yeah.
Law and Order is the same episode every time, just different characters, right?
Yeah.
It's the same. It's built that way.
Yeah.
So watch Law and Order,
It's
play
like a
something,
twist on the
yeah.
storyline.
But
That's it.
that's
Yeah.
it. Or like chill with my wife, Jamie, or something like that. So I'm learning. I didn't used to be that way. I was
Hmm.
always go, go, go.
Hmm.
When you work in college athletics, it's just go, go, go. And so last year after OPEC relays, I was cooked. Like I was cooked mentally,
Yeah.
emotionally, physically. And
And that's the thing, and not to like really interject here, but like you couldn't tell. Like I know you said like you were cooked, but and it was definitely go 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 for you. But you still showed up, dude, every single
well,
day, and I'm like, dude, this guy has so much energy.
with Penn relays, it's kind of hard because the next week is Broad Street. So
Hmm.
like you really don't get the time
Yeah.
to be cooked. Like you know, it's annoying when it's the same weekend,
Hmm.
but then when it's over, you can like drop your guard and relax for a little bit. But when you like build up, but you know how it is at Penn relays,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like you're building up, but then it reaches its crescendo Thursday, Friday, Saturday. By the time there's like a little calm on Sunday,
Hmm.
you jump right into Broad Street week,
Yeah.
and so you're building up. And for some people, Broad Street, for most of the road runners in Philly,
Hmm.
Broad Street is bigger than Penn relays because they're running in it. They're
Hmm.
competing in this race.
Yeah.
And so,
So I'm like, is there? It's not really a calm. You know, you think
no,
there's a
the
calm?
calm is like Mother's Day. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
like once you get to go, if you celebrate Mother's Day, go and have the
Yeah.
food and sit and chill and celebrate someone else. And
Hmm.
you're not the center of attention unless you are a mother, you
Yeah.
know, and then you could just like kick back. But it's, if you love it, you're
Yeah.
going to give it your all. And then also like, you know, like you said, like I feel like coming out of the pandemic,
Hmm.
OPEC's just been on a heater. And
Hmm.
so like you want to try to progress is not always linear, as
Hmm.
we know.
Oh,
So it's not
100%.
just going to be a straight slope up.
Yeah.
But as long as we can keep like managing the incline before like it starts to plateau and hopefully doesn't decline. But if that happens, man, it's just you just lock into something
Yeah.
and then it's just go time.
Yeah.
Just lock. I can't even describe it.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, like, what are those things that you lock into when you have so many different run clubs in the community? You know, when you
Right.
have so many different events happening, like, how do you continue to show up for OPEC authentically? You know, and making sure that you're giving the community what it needs and what it wants, but also making sure that like you're putting out something that you're going to be proud of. You know, especially when you have so many different members and so many people who are looking to like this one specific event where they're like, this is the central. This is what people
Right.
wait for.
You know, the good part about OPEC is
Hmm.
I try to say it a lot if
Yeah.
I'm asked, because nobody cares, right? If they don't, I'm not just gonna walk into
Yeah.
some random person and be like, "Oh, by the way,"
Yeah.
but we have a good leadership team,
Hmm.
so it's not just me like planning and
Yeah.
showing up and doing all of the stuff. There's 11 of us,
Hmm.
right? And then everybody, we try to be organized where everybody has like a specific role or task. So if my job at OPEC Relays is to check teams in
Hmm.
and MC, then you know, like you know, we're on a microphone right now, but you just didn't walk in from like another engagement and have to
Hmm.
jump right into this. So
Oh
to
yeah,
have the
I
mind
was
space
quiet.
and yeah, and all that, yeah, you did your thing,
Yeah.
right? So our leadership team is critical
Hmm.
because like nobody can do it all by themselves.
Hmm.
To me, the biggest fraudulent statement is self-made, insert millionaire, billionaire,
Hmm.
whatever. Like, okay, LeBron, you could be self-made billionaire, but you don't own the team.
Hmm.
Somewhere along the line, somebody had to like, you know, give you an opportunity for your talent and your work ethic
Yeah.
to show through. And so I think our leadership team and our core membership, they do a great job helping out. And I said this at last year's OPEC relays, like it's really humbling to for the people that show up from the myriad of running clubs that they come from to entrust us with this, because they're all doing their own things too, building their own communities, awesome communities throughout the city. And so for this couple nights a year where we have like bigger events, for them to entrust us with it is something that I don't take for granted. We don't take it for granted. So you just try to show up and just make sure that, like, these people have dedicated their Thursday nights for OPAC relays, or a Sunday for Philly United, or Friday for OPAC Expo, to sharing something that you've built collectively with your team. Try not to let them down, and don't take it for granted. Most of the times, if you don't take them for granted, you won't let them down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel like if you kind of like overanalyze it a little bit too much, you're not going to be able to have that real, like, that grit,
Right.
that Philly can really bring, especially in the running community. Because if you try to like make sure, okay, like this has to be like for the event, we have to have it flow this way. Like, yes, there's a run of show that happens, but also letting, I don't know, like some space for people to show up and like, express their creativity within the running scene. And I think you guys do a really great job at that. Like the past 3 years, I've been able to, be really involved with OPAC relays, and just the energy there, man. Like the vibe, just the people that come out, like you really bring together so many running groups. And I just love that, because I don't know, I feel like for Penn Relays, like, yes, you have the events that are happening on the track and field, but also this is kind of like that side event. And so many people know about it.
The good thing about OPAC relays is that the clubs that show out, they're coming to win. Like, they're not showing up to OPAC relays to run, and an OPAC team wins it. And it's like this fairy tale, Rudy kind of ending. Like, they want to dominate. Last year was the first year. What's this, OPAC Relay 7? So in some way, shape, or form, for the first 6 years, an OPAC affiliated or OPAC direct team has won. Sometimes we stack the deck. You're not trying to win if you're not cheating. So if we could bring in 4 people that ran for Villanova University, you know what I'm saying? They ran the 400, and I can stack a team. I'm doing that for sure. 1,000%. Last year was the first year that an OPAC team did not win. The team that won, the OPAC team that won the year before, couldn't make it for scheduling purposes. So this year it'll be interesting to see the new champion, well-deserved, some folks from Philly Runner Track Club, and the champion that didn't lose the title, but you don't have it now, our OPAC Delaware team, and see if they can. And this is just 2 teams in the middle of like all of the teams that ON puts in. The T3 team is always super, super competitive.
Oh, well, they are
like,
so out.
Reading Area Track Club had a team of like, people are starting to get the gist of it now. Like, people are bringing ringers. And the thing that about OPAC relays that's great, which plays on our overall mantra of like all faces, all paces, is that like there are people who are out running just for vibes because it's fun, and we applaud that. That's awesome. It's equally as awesome as the people who are taking it way too serious and doing fartleks and you know what I'm saying? Like, they just been drinking water with lemon for like the past 3 days. You know what I'm saying? That person, the whole goal is that person has the same amount of fun as like the team of 4 who just been crushing White Claws for the last 3 hours. And like they're just going out there and they forgot they were running. But so their name is called. And then they go out there and rip, and you know, it's just a celebration of running and a celebration of, obviously, you wouldn't do that if you were running Penn relays. I mean, that's super serious, right? It's like the Olympics. But it's a celebration of Penn relays, and I feel as though, and I think we feel as though as OPAC leadership, but I feel as though Penn relays is something that we don't celebrate enough outside of the track and field world. It's like this world phenomenon that's in our backyard. And it's one of my favorite weeks of the year. When I was younger, it used to be like my wife will see this, so Jamie, I'm sorry, but it was like, I'm gonna put my best shit on, get my little polo, ruffle on my Tommy, and like, where is the after party? We pulling up,
fashion show too.
We're not even going inside there. I don't care who's in there. We pulling up. We rented a car. You know what I'm saying? None of us drive this Acura SUV or this the Benz. We got our money together. We rented a car. We went downtown to Wanamakers and got the fresh polo, Nautica, whatever. where is the party?
Yeah, yeah.
We
Show
playing
me
the.
the party.
We might not even
Yeah,
go to the party. We
yeah.
playing the let out.
Oh,
Where we
yeah.
going after this Club McDonald's on Broad Street?
Exactly.
Bam, we in there.
Just there for the let out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We just there to post for the let out,
Yeah.
and then as I got more into athletics and more into running, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, the Olympics are happening inside this horseshoe that I've been hanging outside of
Dude,
for
and
the
they're
past 9
partying in there.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a party inside too. Let's go in there and check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're not going off the field. They're partying
right,
within the
right,
field. Yeah.
1000%,
Yeah,
1000%.
it's so nice just to see kind of like there's some levity added to it all, you know,
Yeah.
because it can be so serious going into it. Like, all right, I have to be focused, which you have to be if you're racing.
Right.
But then at the end, it's a celebration, you know, and I do love that aspect where like, okay, you worked hard. Now it's time to celebrate for, you know, the entire week, the entire month, the entire year leading up to that entire moment, you know, whether it's running pin relays or even showing up for OPAC relays. Dude,
Right.
can you imagine? Like, I'm pretty sure there are people that train like a year in advance for OPAC relays. Did you ever think about that? Like,
no, there's people now. We know people that do both
Mhm.
because of the way the current schedule is set up.
Yeah.
With the open events on Friday, the
Mhm.
open 5K, you know, male
Yeah.
and female, the corporate distant melee.
Yeah.
So there have been people who I've seen Thursday night in this alleyway
Mhm.
running like a crazy person, and then Friday on the track running
Yeah.
like a crazy person.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like it's a cool vibe, man.
Mhm.
It's really cool, and again, it's humbling to like. It wasn't an overnight sensation,
Yeah.
so to like put the work in to have built up something
Mhm.
that's, you know, again, the city, not the whole city. There's
Yeah.
1.6 million people here, but the people who come to it have entrusted us to put on a show, an event, have
Mhm.
a good time. They know they're going to be safe. They
Yeah.
know it's going to be fun. They know we're going to try to put out a great vibe.
Mhm.
And like what we don't get right in 2024, we try to get right in 2025, and so on.
Yeah.
You know, and at the end of the day, it's just supposed to be fun. Yeah, stressful,
Yeah.
right? But we wouldn't do it if it wasn't fun.
Mhm. It is serious business, but at the end of the day, it should be fun, you
Yeah.
know? And it goes back to your point about like having the right team, like those leaders. I've had the chance to meet a few. I mean, I know we did a photo shoot 2 years ago
Right.
together,
Right.
modeling one of the shoes. And it was just nice, like the energy that everyone showed up with for that shoot. I felt at home, honestly. And
Yeah.
that was my first time meeting like at least most of the leaders. Like I've met Chris. I knew Chris
Right.
before then. But a lot of them just welcomed me with open arms. They're like, yeah, like we gonna put like our best model face on. I was like, okay, like work it, let's strut, you know, like just be very natural with the camera.
Yeah.
Dude, they were just so in it. And
Yeah.
you could just tell it was from like a place of like, I don't know, like being genuine. And I'm curious for you, like when bringing those leaders on, what is the thought process that you have where you're kind of like, okay, because you have the vision, right? Like, you know what you want OPAC to be. Like you said, OPAC relays, this is going to be the 7th year in 2025.
OPAC Relay 7.
Yeah, let's go, baby. Like bringing in those leaders, what was going through your mind? Like you have this vision, you have OPAC, which is your baby, you know, how is it that you're able to kind of decipher like who you want to bring in,
Right.
who you know will see that vision and be able to carry it out when you're not there?
I think one of the good things about any community
Mhm.
now is social media enables you to see what other people are doing,
Yeah.
you know, in the city, across the country, across the world, or whatever. So I think we were one of the last groups
Mhm.
to even have like quote unquote a board,
Mhm.
you know. And so I just knew that I was at a point where I couldn't do it all by myself,
Yeah.
and OPEC would suffer if I would try to,
Mhm.
you know. So the leadership thing was like Jamie, since we've been dating, has always been a part of it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes probably not at her own. Like, dude, if
Yeah.
you ask me one more question about the size of this bib, I'm gonna freak, right? But it was like, okay, what do we need in the group? So I kind of broke down a running group into like a bunch of different R's so I can quickly remember them. I
Mhm.
don't remember all of them, but like if we're talking about like run club resources, retail,
Mhm.
you know, race experience, race day, responsibility, like the philanthropic stuff that you
Yeah.
want to do, et cetera, et cetera. Who was already, and it was basically like who was already around that's helping,
Mhm.
that you can just ask to like, can we just make it a little bit more official so we can form a team, so we know that like even if it's something as minuscule as like, I don't want to use the word minuscule because run club is the most important thing that I
Mhm.
say this all the time. the events are great, but if
Mhm.
we don't have like the consistent community and fellowship of running and training together, the common denominator is running, and then we're just a circus,
Yeah.
you know. But like even when it comes to like, I can't be the person that's showing up every week to every run club and saying, "Welcome to OPAC. My name is Lionel
Mhm.
Brodie," and going through the whole spiel. 'Cause what if I'm off that day? What if I need to? I was getting married two years ago and planning a
Mhm.
wedding with my, now wife, and like, no, we got to go look at this venue. We got to
Yeah.
run club. No, dog, we got
Yeah.
to go look at this venue,
Yeah.
or talk to
Yeah.
this, or pick
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
and
And that's what I
so
mean, like, the level of in that time, like, the important, you know what I mean?
right,
Like, they're both important, but, like,
right.
one has more precedent over the
A
other.
wedding.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
wedding.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
like, I gotta make
yeah,
sure this is
yeah,
good before I
yeah,
do anything else.
yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, also, no one person can be, I get a lot of inspiration from just like movies and
Mhm.
everything, right?
Mhm.
So I was watching, uh,
Inspiration, I love
yeah, you can, I'm
Yeah.
a nerd. I'm a
Yeah.
nerd first
Yeah.
and foremost about stuff that I'm really passionate about. So I was watching The Post,
Mhm.
the Tom Hanks movie with Watergate and the whole thing or whatever. And then the dude makes a line and he says that like Nixon was basically saying that he was the state. I chopped out a lot for brevity's sake, right?
Mhm.
So it just made me think that like, damn, I can't be OPEC. I don't want people to look at OPEC as if it's just me. So we need more voices.
Yeah.
I am not a lot of things.
Mhm.
I'm not a woman.
Mhm.
I'm not non-black. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? I'm not, I didn't grow up where everybody else grew up.
Mhm.
I don't wear the same shoes, same size, a whole bunch of things. So in order for people to better relate to the group, it needs to be, the leadership and the voice needs to be a microcosm of the group.
Mhm.
In our leadership team, there are people who are LGBTQIA.
Mhm.
I'm not that. There are people who are Asian. I'm not
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Out of the 11 people, 9 are women or
Mhm.
identify as women. You know, I think only 2 of us are from Philly.
Yeah.
Which, even if you just stop there, like only 2 of us are from West Philly.
Mhm.
Everybody else is from a different place. The city adopted you,
Yeah.
so your relationship with it is different, and just no one person. I don't want to be the state, because then,
Yeah.
when the country goes bad, you blame the president. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So
Yeah.
I was trying to avoid like, yo, man, I don't want something to happen at
Yeah.
OPEC and everybody
Yeah.
like, well,
Brody.
Brody, yeah,
Everyone's pointing fingers at
yeah,
you. Turn
exactly.
your head
And
like,
Brody
okay.
is like B. It's like
Yeah.
A, B. I'm right there to be quickly like,
Yeah.
well, Brody was there when the shit went bad. So,
Mhm.
but no, it's more so of like bringing in other voices. And like now we're at a point where if I don't go to OPAC, anything for whatever reason, chilling with my wife, mental
Mhm.
health break,
Yeah.
whatever it is, like the show goes on and doesn't miss a beat. And that's
Yeah.
how it should be.
Yeah, it really is, and I think they do a really great job. You really have cultivated something is really special, and it's so nice to be able to see that because everyone feels it. Even if you're not necessarily a part of OPAC, like the leadership team, or you're really dialed in with the club.
Yeah.
Anytime you show up to an OPAC event, you always get a great turnout, and you're able to just feel the energy. It's so vibrant, dude, and it's so palpable because it's I know it can be challenging, just managing just day-to-day life and also like the
Yeah.
club and like your work and then also like married life. And then also like making sure you have reserved some stuff for you for like the mental health day, that wellness for yourself. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I appreciate it, man. And
Mhm.
again, it's just like when somebody, like coffee,
Yeah.
right? You go to the coffee shops you go to, if you drink coffee or
Mhm.
tea or whatever it is, because like you trust that
Mhm.
the customer service is going to be great, the vibe is
Yeah.
going to be great, the beverage that you choose is going to be great, and then if it's consistently not,
Mhm.
then you move on.
Yeah.
Same with us. If you're coming to our run club and every other words,
Mhm.
shit, ass, whatever it
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
if you're coming to our events and like they're not fun or they just seem to be like not the,
Mhm.
if we're selling merch and it's
Mhm.
disrespectful in any sort
Yeah.
of way or not size inclusive, then like you're choosing. I was just having this conversation like a couple of weeks ago. Dude, none of us are getting paid to like, none of us are living
Mhm.
off of our run clubs.
Yeah.
You're not like, how are you paying rent? Oh, OPEC. No,
Mhm.
that's not happening. So like,
Yeah.
we're all choosing to be here. This
Yeah.
is one of our chosen families.
Mhm.
And so since you don't have to be here by obligation, make it as awesome as possible, because in with the same quickness that someone has decided to like be around you, they can also vanish.
Yeah. So how do you continue to make sure that, like, you keep that consistent energy? Because I feel like personally experiencing OPAC relays, you find a way to literally elevate it every single time, or just any OPAC event, like you have like Philly United, like you guys just continue to bring the energy and the vibes. And I feel like each and every single year, there's just a way of like elevation, it's always kind of like moving that needle.
Right.
Yeah. So how do you, like, what is the kind of, how do you go to the drawing board and you're like, okay, this is what we did like last year. How can we elevate it or take it up like just one notch?
You know what we do? We do this process of like, well, every time we have a meeting, I always like to appreciate, I call it appreciation and acknowledgement. You appreciate what you built,
Yeah.
right? But then you acknowledge that like there are tweaks that you can make in order to like make it better, because we're all human. So, just by the law of being human, it's just not perfect.
Yeah.
So we know that, let's take OPAC relays. We know OPAC relays is awesome. Let's appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take 30 minutes and just rip it to shit. What was awful about it? What could have been better? What do we need to tweak? What do we need to not at all do? It's not to make you feel bad, make me feel bad. It's so that, again, people are choosing to be there.
Yeah.
So it's so the people that are choosing to be there decide to like come back next year and bring a friend, or is it getting too big? Do we need to cap the number so that like, how are we measuring our growth?
Yeah.
Not growth, how are we measuring our success?
Yeah.
Is it, I think last year at peak OPEC relays time, there was like 300 people and some change in this alley. Is the goal to get to 400, or is the goal to like, let's have that same number or less, so that the experience is better for everybody? We can manage it better. You know what I'm saying? So we really, and the good thing about like anybody you ask is that you've been to 3 OPAC relays. So 1 or 2 you were heavily involved in. 1 you were in the trenches with us.
Yeah.
So you know what that's like.
Yeah.
When it's like
the planning process.
10 minutes before the event starts, and you just want to lay in the middle of the street and just you don't even care anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna lay here.
Yeah. I think the panic for me started to hit when like people actually started to show up. Like, the planning process was, I think it was kind of easy, because you're a really great communicator and you're like, hey, this is what we want to do. And the entire team behind you and behind me worked so well together. But I think for me, it really didn't hit until we were actually there at New Deck Tavern and everyone started to come into the alley. I'm like, man, this is actually real. And I just want to lie here.
The interesting thing about you being involved that year and On being involved is that like, I know, everybody from On knows that like the bigger show is Penn Relays.
Yeah.
So as much as so we have to be real with ourselves. As much as in reality, OPEC Relays is our world, Philly United is our world. Like the bigger of it, it's all an adjacent part of something that's massively bigger.
Yeah.
So you have to realize that like there would be no OPEC Relays if it wasn't for Penn Relays. There would be no Philly United or OPEC Expo if it wasn't for there would be no cheer sections if it weren't for the races.
Yeah.
So you got to keep that reality in mind too.
Yeah.
That like you're just playing like a small role in something that's like preceded you, is gonna succeed you, and like would go on if you were doing whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah. If you were to step away.
Yeah, or not.
Yeah.
So I think just going into it, and everybody that's involved in it has to know, in whatever role you play, you're a bartender, we're all equal, right? Same status.
Oh yeah, I would if I was a bartender, because you're
bartender, bar runner, racer, spectator, brand partner, planner, whatever it is, you have to know with an event like that, there's going to be chaos.
Yeah.
It's a part of it.
Yeah.
It's an unsanctioned race. It just spells chaos.
Yeah. I mean, it's right there in the word unsanctioned.
How do you manage it where it's like as safe as possible and all those things? that's the tricky and the fun part. But no, to answer your question, long
Yeah.
story short, we look at even Run Club. What's awesome about Run Club? Okay, now let's tear it to shit.
Hmm.
How can we take better pictures, have better captions, get more people to show up? All of the
Yeah.
things that goes into, like, offer better distances. So people, you're not running a marathon only running 3 miles a week. Maybe you are, but like most people aren't.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And so like just being able to look at it and try to make it better, knowing that like that's just a good thing.
Yeah.
It's good to get better.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I can't wait for the 10th OPAC relays because I know that's going to be crazy. Like that's going to be a movie. I mean, I feel like every single year is a
Dude,
movie, but that's going to be like wicked, like 3 hours.
by the 10th OPAC relays, man, we're gonna have to be on the track at that point. We're gonna have to be
Yeah,
Thursday night
yeah,
after the Thursday night.
yeah.
Whose night is that? Chick-fil-A? I don't know what night
Is
that
it?
is.
I have no
It's
idea.
Friday's on and Saturday's
If Friday's the
Toyota.
on party.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Saturday's Toyota day. So whatever day is
yeah.
the first day, when that ends, roll into OPEC relays or something like that.
That's going to be a good time, man.
Yeah.
So that was the perfect segue because I know we were talking about like having different brands, different people showing up and like really elevating it. How are you able to continue to keep, the OPAC mission, and OPAC's authenticity at the front of conversations when you're talking about partnering with different ambassadors or brands
Right.
because your event is a major event that people look forward to every single year for Penn Relays. So how do you keep that, front of conversation when, you're going into these talks or people are like, hey, can we kind of like, jump in here? Like we would love
Right.
to take this over.
That's a good question. Well, the first thing is you have to believe it.
Hmm.
It can't be something that you say and you don't live and
Yeah.
believe. So when we say all faces, all paces, one, we didn't create that. We inherited that from Bridge Runners in New York and Rundum Crew in London and all of the groups that I was looking at, when OPAC was being founded. Mainly those two though, because I was living in Wayne, like I'm
Hmm.
from Philly, living in Wayne, but I was working at Nova. So my
Yeah.
entire running world was on the main line or on a road trip somewhere.
Mhm.
So I honestly didn't know or take the time to really know that there was a booming running community in Philadelphia before OPEC even started. So we thought we were like George Washington, Christopher Columbus or some shit, right?
Yeah.
Or whoever, America,
Just like discovery.
obviously
Yeah.
there were people here,
Yeah.
indigenous people before European exploration. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We
Oh,
thought we
100%. Yeah.
discovered
Yeah.
the shit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
We're
then you
putting our foot
realize that
down.
like, okay, Fishtown Beer Run, the South Philly Striders, City
Mhm.
Fit Girls, Manioc Clubs, East Falls Flyers, what's
Yeah.
the heck going? There were so many different groups. Philly Runner Track Club in the
Yeah.
store. There's so many really groups that preceded us that like, okay, we weren't the first, but like, so how can we be the best?
Mhm.
And not like we're trying to compete with y'all,
Yeah, of
but
course.
like everybody wants to be the best at
Yeah.
whatever it is you do, even if that best is just internally for you. And so when we say all faces, all paces, it's because Bridge Runners and Rundum Crew and Black Roses and Embryo and Copenhagen were saying it to be inclusive. So to me, it just came down to me comprehensive inclusivity.
Mhm.
How can we be inclusive in totality,
Yeah.
right? And so once you really believe that, and then it's easy when you're talking to like a brand because you're trying to, and sometimes you have to tell brands that like, I don't think that I want to work with you really, really badly, but your clothing only goes up to a certain size. And so
Mhm.
like certain people can't wear it, so we can't preach it. Or you just had a really sticky situation with
Mhm.
something you said that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And like, you didn't walk it back, which I respect you
Mhm.
for.
Yeah.
You doubled down on it.
Yeah.
But that's not our vibe,
Yeah.
And you don't have to work with a brand in order to be cool. Now, when you work with a brand, you can sometimes spend their money, which is, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
But like, if a brand doesn't, if we don't think like a brand or a partner or something aligns with what we're trying to do, then we're just gonna not go down
Mhm.
direction, maybe for this particular situation.
Yeah.
Because we want to be super welcome. Again, people are choosing to be here. So why would you purposely try to exclude,
Yeah, absolutely.
if you did it by mistake, oh shit, I didn't know. My bad. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing. But if you know going into it,
yeah,
it's a different ball game.
Yeah.
Different ball game.
Yeah. And just being like very transparent and like very straight to the point, like, hey, we just don't want to do this.
Again, this isn't like we're pitching OPEC relays. Except for the year we were sponsored by Lululemon, it was included in the verbiage of our contract. So we knew which route we were going. Once you get the bite, then you got to perform. And then it's like, oh, this is dope.
Yeah.
You know, but we're pitching it to these brands. So we're choosing what brand would be a good fit for this. Some brands are just good fits for other things. Like our run club is a good fit for some people. And then some people want to run with any of the 100+ other run clubs because it's a better fit for them. It's just one of those sort of things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think you do a really great job, as I said before, just cultivating and making sure that the vibe is, true to the OPAC's mission. All faces, all paces. And you really see that with OPAC relays. You see it with OPAC in general, with the leadership team, and also just how you guys show up for one another and the community. Like that Philly United run just a few months ago, like last year, the amount of people that were there, I didn't even attend. I remember going on Instagram and just seeing all the social media content. You and I have talked about this.
Right.
And how many people were in attendance, because that sidewalk and the Philly Runner store was packed.
I think we counted 523 people RSVP.
Oh my God.
And there was very little attrition too.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't a lot of people who like didn't show.
Yeah.
Because we had 500 Shake Shack coupons that go inside the Hoka tote bags.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I missed the Shake Shack.
I might have like a few at the actually I might cash in on one of those this weekend. Shake Shack banging.
Yeah.
Shake Shack slaps. Try saying that three times. Shake Shack slaps.
Shake Shack slap. Oh, I can't.
Yeah, it's just, the first year we tried to do Philly United, it wasn't called that. It was like OPAC and Philadelphia Runner presents the All City Shakeout, which was a playoff for the All City 10-20 miler, and like 25 people showed up. Now we did a super last minute or whatever, and it was on a Tuesday night, and there were a lot of reasons why it didn't work. But to me, the main takeaway was when you get into like the actual races that people are running.
Yeah.
The clubs all have their own identities, and they're all doing their own thing for their own respective families. So they don't need to do an OPAC thing, So once we rebranded it and dropped as a exercise, it was an experiment. Richard Isa Bakari and I were talking one day about doing a shakeout run for Broad Street without the IRC and without the OPAC branding. It's just the shakeout to see if we can get better and bigger turnouts, because we wanted to be a shakeout for everybody. And I think we had double what we had ever had at a Broad Street shakeout. So that experience led me to say, we got to drop the OPAC branding off of this all city shakeout. And we're just trying to unite the city. Chris King, who we're both Manchester United fans, he was like, we can call it Philly United. So he gave it the name. And then we started adding in the, let's invite all the clubs. Let's give every club leader a chance to like introduce his, her, or their self in his, her, or their groups.
I love that you guys do that.
And so because like it's not about us.
Yeah.
Even when we make the flyer and do the post, we don't put any OPAC. It's really for the city.
Yeah.
So everybody can pitch it to their families and their groups as it's their own run, because it is.
Yeah.
So we've just done a lot of the lay work of planning it, and then you show up and reach the bit, which is fine.
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those things where like we had to not be Leos about it. Like, all right, you don't have to be the center of attention dog.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's for the city, then it's for the city.
Let
it's not about you.
Yeah. 100%. And it's so nice to see the social media roll out for that, because I'll look at the comments and you'll tag all of like the run crews, and then I'll see like another comment maybe like a day later, and it's like, oh, we're adding in these other groups as well,
Right.
you know, because
Right.
there's so many groups here, and like some people who are just entering into Philadelphia, or they're looking for just a running community, they don't know about all the running crews that are here, which is why I think that Philly United, Philly Runner is like the mecca for all things really, you know, run focus and the run community.
It's a lot. It's a
Yeah,
lot of work.
yeah,
Because there's always like you set a deadline, and then just like somebody be like, yo,
yeah,
can we get involved at the
yeah.
last minute? Like you
Hmm.
really can't say no because
All right, let me tag you.
you want you never know what group is going to show up and what leader is going to introduce,
Hmm.
you know, their group, their group,
Yeah,
and what person is going to be unaffiliated or unattached in the crowd that's going to resonate.
yeah.
So by you saying, nah, you missed the deadline,
Hmm.
just some runner, walker, jogger, hybrid athlete out there that could have missed the opportunity to like find their forever home with
Yeah.
this run community.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so nice that you guys, you know, give these run group leaders or just the run group in general the spotlight. Like it's just so nice because you can find the running space, but you can also find that inner community. Like with Mirror Miles, for instance, you combine running and art. So you
Yeah.
have the running enthusiast, but then you also have like the art enthusiast.
And also on the Converse, everybody doesn't know about OPAC.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's when I'm reaching out to clubs, there's a lot of clubs that are like, dude, who 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 are you?
Yeah.
And what club are you? You know, because
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they're in their own communities, their own orbit.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so I never try to look at it as like, oh, I'm Brodie, and like you should know who I am. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I'm the Godfather.
no, I would never say that
Yeah.
unless somebody's getting on my nerves. Like, dog, don't you see that jacket?
Yeah.
I'm like, don't ever go against the family
Yeah.
again. Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
Brody
Yeah.
Corleone over here. No, I'm never on that
Yeah.
time. But like, there's a lot of clubs who don't know who I am.
Yeah.
People that don't know who OPAC is, and that's fine. So we're all meeting
Mhm.
and coming together. Literally,
Yeah.
it's there's a lot of dope running communities in Philly,
Hmm.
and like when people are building their own communities, you know, if you're not just competing with everybody, you're so focused on your own community, your own growth, your own logo, your own merch, your own
Yeah.
race experiences, your own events, whatever, that like you don't have a time to give a shit about what, you know, when we made that first OPEC relays post 100 days out, so many people hit me up and are just like, what is OPEC relays?
Hmm.
Now, we just got finished talking about how great OPEC relays is. But there's still a lot of people in the running community who I'm friends with who follow OPAC, who follow me, mutual follow,
Yeah.
right? That don't know what it is. And so that's part of the growth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We can't take for granted, like, oh, you should just know what this is.
Yeah.
No, dog, you don't.
Yeah.
So
Said introducing different run groups at
right.
Philly United or just any other running event that's happening in the community, just allow them the space to be like, huh, okay, I'm interested and I'm going to attend this run, you know?
You got to look at it as this. I say this. Gosh, I'm going to get divorced. I say this. You know, when I'm putting together a good outfit, you putting together an outfit or you working out like you single.
Hmm.
You know, if you putting something on knowing that like, oh, I got this to fall back on, you might not give it your best effort. But if you're getting ready to run out of your house or apartment to run errands, and you put on a fit like you single,
Yeah.
it's a lot different than with your house slippers on.
Yeah, yeah, of course,
and the
yeah.
shirt with the hole on it.
Yeah.
And, you know what I'm saying? Like, plus you also don't know
Yeah.
who you might meet. It might
Exactly.
not even be somebody romantically.
I'm
It
super
could be like
comfy.
you know, maybe you get a job opportunity
Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
like that, and you dress like you just got finished.
Yeah.
You know,
I want to see everyone. Yeah.
you got to put on your weekly run,
Mhm.
your event, the merch, everything you're doing, as if like this is the first time somebody's going to experience it.
Yeah.
Like the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
The Super Bowl can live off of the Beyonce halftime show.
Yeah.
No, they got to come back every year and put the halftime show on like they never did it before.
Exactly.
So the person that's watching it from the first time is like, oh, they got Kendrick. They can't live off of Kendrick. Next year they got to come out and try to top whoever Kendrick this year.
Yeah. I can't
Last
even
year,
remember.
Beyonce did the sideshow country album thing during
Yeah.
this, and everybody turned the
Cowboy
channel.
Carter. Yeah.
Yo, the Carters, they playing a different kind of chess game, man.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a whole
Yeah,
different
that's a
topic.
whole different conversation. Yeah, that's a different day. Different day. Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, how has your, I guess, your journey and your love for running changed over the years? When it comes to OPAC relays, when it comes to just the Philly running community, and also like you, because you've changed over the years, I'm sure
Yeah.
we all do. So, like, how do you approach running now? Your races. What is your favorite race, by the way?
The Rothman 8K.
Okay, okay. AK is
Yeah.
good. AK
Yeah.
is a
That's a
really good
good
distance.
distance.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. It's a
I
good
feel that way about
distance.
its 10K too.
I like a
10K.
10K.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why the Philly 10K is one of my
Yeah.
favorites.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
how has your love of running changed over the years? After putting on so many events, meeting so many different people in the community, like, do you still have the same love for it?
It depends on the day.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm like, dude, running is fucking awful.
Yeah.
And some days I'm like, I'm driving down the street after a run. I've already run and showered
hmm
and I'm done. And then I'm driving, I see somebody else running and I get jealous. Like, damn, I wish I was
Yeah.
like, this person just looks so, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. I
Like,
get runner's FOMO.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think running for me is, I'm not chasing any past times or
hmm
anything like that. Um, I love a running medal. I
Yeah.
love to be involved in the weekend. I love the workout, the sweat part of it, the sweat equity part of it. Um, I love to be training for stuff. I
hmm
love that,
Yeah.
because there's like a certain level of like discipline that goes into it. Um, I'm particular about races that I do.
hmm
I think I'm doing more races this year than I've done in a while, though,
Oh,
just
let's
because
go.
like
Yeah.
I'm just so inspired by. I was so inspired by everybody. I didn't run this past marathon weekend because I was sick, and so I was bummed
hmm
about. It was the first time I had to miss a race for like an injury. Let's call it an injury,
hmm
and I was gutted. I was gutted. But going out and cheering on Sunday and seeing everybody accomplish their goals, and it was just super inspiring. And I was just
Yeah.
like, that's where the community comes in. Because if you're doing it solo, you could just be like, done with it.
Yeah.
It's a wrap. But to see somebody go for a run, talk about a run, wear the medal, talk about a failure, and like being able to share, like, I had to drop from the half marathon at mile 7. I had to drop from the 8K at mile 2,
Mm.
and obviously the successes. Running to me, I just was having this. This is a cheat question. I just had this conversation
Uh-huh.
2 hours ago at a coffee. Running is like anything you love, right? For me, you don't love it every single solitary day.
Yeah.
And some days it's like the worst thing ever, especially with this cold front that we just had.
Oh, dude.
It's
Yeah.
like, dude, it's single
I hibernate
degrees.
during the winter. You
Yeah,
would not find me out on the
I
SRT
don't want to
outside
be
running.
outside
Yeah.
at all. But like when you're done, it's just like I've tried all different types of fitness in my life, and nothing has ever made me feel good as like finishing a run, regardless of how short or how long it is. So in that stance, I still love it,
Yeah.
and it sucks sometimes, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it being awful. Some runs are just trash, and then it becomes like, okay, how funny can I make this on Strava now?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's just trash all the way through.
Yeah. So true. There are some runs that I'll start off feeling pretty good and I'll start logging it on Strava. And then once I'm done, if I'm not feeling my best, like in between the run, I'll stop it. And I'm like, okay, no one needs to see this on Strava.
Right.
And then, on the flip side, it's like, no, people need to see that I'm actually still out here running, because it might
Yeah.
motivate someone else. There's always like a battle personally when it comes to running for me. The love is very much still evident in there when I started running about like 10 years ago. But I've learned to just kind of have a little bit more appreciation for it these days because you never know who you're inspiring to get on and run. Especially working at Philly Runner, dude. You're interacting with so many people who are coming into that store and they're getting their first pair of running shoes. And the
Right.
stories that you hear from these customers that are coming in and the motivation as to why they're in here, whether it was, I don't know, like a breakup that motivated them, or if they were just trying to like lose weight or for mental health reasons, is so nice. And it's like, wow, this person is they're taking the step into the right healing direction for them
Yeah.
physically, mentally. So for me, it's like, let me just go ahead and actually just upload this run. I never know how I'm impacting someone else.
I started running off of a drunken dare, but
Yeah,
that might be another
I know.
conversation. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that
Okay,
start.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you got up
We
the
can talk
next.
about that if you want
You
to.
didn't
Yeah, yeah.
expect it the next
No,
day. Yeah, I
I
remember.
wasn't. Yeah, I thought the Grey Goose was. Now I was thinking about this the other day. I don't even know if my friend Steph, who was with me at the time, she might not even have been drinking. She
Hmm.
might have just been riding shotgun with
Yeah,
water, and I'm just like another vodka tonic, and
yeah.
she's like, "No,
Looking at
we
you.
no,
Yeah,
yeah, no, keep drinking them because we could get this running."
yeah,
Um, a lot of us are the degrees of separation between like you and I and like Noah Lyles
hmm,
is a lot less than it is between like you and I and like Giannis
yeah,
or Shotani
hmm,
or Saquon Barkley
yeah,
or whoever, because the world and the culture is so like when you watch Molly Seidel finish third at the Olympics
yeah,
and then have a mental health situation and not finish runs and not want to train and be last at, certain things and take time off from running just to do her. And when you see like Kipchoge do the unthinkable and then, Mother Nature is undefeated.
yeah,
So to see that like we might have seen like the best of the GOAT,
hmm,
but these people still out there, it's so inspiring because you know that like, all right, the 7 mile or 7 minute run you had that was awful the entire time, like you said, can still inspire one of your friends. You're like, you know what? Aaron still got out there. So
yeah,
I'm gonna get out there too. And
yeah.
even if it's awful, I still do something positive for my body.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely. Yeah. And I
Or my
think,
mind.
yeah, no, 100%. I think it also goes back into kind of like looking at social media today and the content that we see, and everyone's putting out like this highlight reel of like all of like the success that they
Yeah.
have or just like all of the good moments. And even when it comes to running, like having to realize like, hey, people sometimes are only going to put out the good runs and not necessarily the bad runs. But then I've noticed even on Strava, like they're putting it all out there too. Like you can have that caption and then a little note underneath where it's like, hey, I didn't feel so good. Legs were tired. They felt a little heavier than usual. And I had to do that as well. It's like, let me still put this out there and just
Right.
put a note like, hey, this wasn't the easiest run. So someone else knows, like, hey, not every day is going to be rainbows and sunshine when you get out there on that field, right? There are going to be days that is super hard. And I think for sure that's where like the love of running has changed for me because it's no longer just running for myself, which very much it is. It's important,
Yeah.
a way to stay physically fit, mentally fit. But I find that that is really liberating to be able to run for other people too, for other people who can't do so. Like you think about running races and the people that are on, that are spectating and cheering you on when you cross that finish line. Some of those people used to be ultra marathoners.
Yeah.
Some of those people used to run the very exact race that you're crossing the finish line for, and something may have happened in their life where they're able to, or like where they're no longer able to run and to race,
Right.
whether that's injury or just health reasons, anything. It's yeah, it's a really freeing feeling, but also, like I said, liberating because you're crossing that finish line not just for yourself, but for all the people who are watching you and for all the people who just don't have the opportunity to do so. And I guess when we talk about like the love of running, that's for me where it's changed. For me, it's like, Aaron, still get out there, crush it, and even if you start to, I don't know, feel crampy, if you can stop for a minute, don't continue to log in the miles, take a second to just like stretch it out and then pick it back up. You just never know. The person who needs that motivation goes onto
Yeah.
Strava and they're like, wow, this person still got out. Brody still got out and did this, and you're very real and very vocal about like, the mental and the physical process of like training for a race.
People need to hear it. I
Hmm.
mean, there are people who are not as open with their emotions,
Yeah.
which is fine. Neither way is right or wrong,
Yeah.
right? But people need to know that like everybody isn't always thriving,
Yeah.
you know, because like everybody isn't always. If you're always thriving, I don't know what you smoking, or snorting,
I
or
want
injecting, or
some.
drinking,
Yeah.
but it just can't be
Yeah.
that's just not realistic,
Yeah.
you know. And if it is your reality, I'd be interested to see how sustainable that reality is.
Yeah.
But you need to, if you feel comfortable just sharing it, like, you dude,
Yeah.
today wasn't my day.
Hmm.
You know what? Today really isn't my day. I'm not gonna run at all, which is
Yeah.
fine. You
Yeah.
know, and I'm gonna get after it tomorrow or whenever I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
taking a break, man.
yeah.
Listen to your body, listen
It's
to your mind.
the rest day is such a with any sport.
Hmm.
The rest day is such a huge part of like the working out and the building up, even with your mind and
Yeah.
your emotions. Like you can't always be. I'd say this to Jamie all the time because I'm trying to prove to her how smart I am. Like my
Yeah.
brain is like that's my biggest muscle. That's my
Yeah.
biggest. But I'm not always sitting at my computer like we need to be on this shit with OPAC. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I'm definitely sitting there staring at like some ridiculous bad basketball or Big Bang Theory
Yeah.
or something. I'm not even thinking. It's just on,
Yeah.
and just like giving it a rest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you locked in all, it's like a car. If you got in your car and drove it at whatever the max speed is all the time,
Yeah.
yo,
Yeah.
you're not gonna have that car for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to your point though, Brody, there's so much emphasis in talking about like the physical training that it takes to get out there and run on the road, but no one really talks about like the mental aspect, you know?
Yeah,
And I know that you're a huge advocate for mental health. You and I have had plenty of conversations, and it was a very vulnerable moment for me to get up in front of you, at the event with like the Win magazine and the
yeah,
Daytona headquarters. Dude,
yeah,
like that was a very real moment because people come up and they're like, "Hey, how's the run going?" If you're joining a group run and it's like, that easy 5K, a lot of the time, personally, I feel like it can be very much like running surface level. And we're just talking about the running and the training, right? Like if I had an injury, the recovery process, but not necessarily talking about like the mental aspect. And that is definitely something when I got up there and shared my story with all of you guys about like, my mental health journey. It was something that yeah, I wasn't sure if everyone will relate to, and I feel like those are still somewhat difficult conversations that, we're trying to navigate sometimes where everyone feels a little bit more comfortable talking about the physical journey of
yeah,
running, but not necessarily like the mental journey of running.
dude. There's a lot to unpack there, but like when
Yeah.
I enjoyed that, and Vanessa's story,
Yeah.
like
And
all of,
Josh. Yeah.
yeah, you don't, y'all people that I know,
Mhm.
that I've had drinks with, meals with, coffees with, conversations with, and like I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
So it just lets you know that like in your circle of friends, right, you always appear to be like thriving.
Yeah.
You don't know what somebody is going through that they're not sharing, you know, because of whatever reason. And so like that's why I always try to, I'm an asshole when I'm driving. My road rage is
Yeah.
on a next level.
Yeah.
Next level, right? Like if you can
Yeah.
have intercoms in
Yeah.
cars, I would be dead already.
Oh, dude, I
I
would
would for
love to
sure
hear
be
your
I'm like
yeah, to be
I would for sure be murdered. But you never know what somebody's going through. So like you always try to like treat everybody with, you know, a level of like respect and
yeah.
niceness or whatever, because like you don't know what you can say to a person that can like trigger them in any way.
Yeah.
And so like when you were talking, me, I mean, a lot of people in OPAC. We
Yeah.
all looking at each other like, wait, did you know that?
Yeah. No, I looked up and I
Like,
saw like Chris was like front row and center, and I was like, "Oh snap!"
yeah, we were looking. We went to East Passyunk for like dinner after, and then after a while, it was just like, yo, man, I didn't know that shit about Aaron. I didn't know that about Josh. I
Yeah.
didn't know that about Vanessa.
Yeah.
And it's like, but on a positive side, it's great when you hear like turmoil and pain
Yeah.
and angst and all of those things, and how people were able to use that to like,
Empower them. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. as like your superpower
Yeah, yeah,
almost. Obviously you want your superpower to be like something uplifting, and then
yeah.
you decided to,
Yeah,
but sometimes it's like, this is how I felt, and I don't want anybody to feel like this. And
yeah,
so that's kind of how OPEC started. I was doing a run with a group that still exists, and my training group was like average Joes from dodgeball, and this other group was like Globo Gym,
yeah,
and it wasn't a great experience. And so I was like, yo, I never want to feel like this ever again. And so if I ever start a run club, the goal is so no one ever feels how shitty I feel at this exact moment. And that's always been like a drive. You know how you forget about something and then you realize like, yo, I never got over that.
yeah,
Like I never, ever,
yeah.
ever got over that. It is,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
Michael Jordan being cut from his high school basketball team and how he's
Yeah,
still bonkers about it.
yeah.
I never got over
Some things you just can't. Yeah,
that I don't think about it every day,
yeah,
but like I know it's there. I know
yeah,
it's there.
yeah. And it'll take like a very specific thing to happen for all of the feelings to come rushing back, and you're like, man, I
Right.
thought I was over this. I'm actually
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, no, that was powerful.
Yeah.
That was super powerful.
And another reason why I think it was so powerful and it was important for me to get up there and to just kind of like share that story is because this is like, we talk so much about community, but if it's really community, then we should be having these type of conversations. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? We should be able to feel as though we can show up and be our most authentic self and to share like our struggle stories sometimes, like our mental health battles. Um, I try to make it my goal each time I show up to a group run to at least connect beyond the surface with the runner. Like, you're training for a race. What does that look like for you? How intense is it? Are you working out at the gym? Are you constantly on the road? Are you on a track? Also, like, I'm definitely someone I'm someone who enjoys like beyond the surface, really digging
Yeah.
deep. Like, almost like, tell me your trauma, tell me more about you. I really want to get to know you at the core and like your values. So for me, I think being able to get up there and present that to you guys and share that, it was more so of like, if this is the community that I say that I love and I show up for, and I'm always just so happy with them, why should they not also get that part of me that is going to be vulnerable and share like the most deepest, darkest things and emotions and feelings, that I'm experiencing or anyone's experiencing? I think if that's the community, we should be able to do that.
It's the reason why we always used to go for coffee or something at the run
Yeah.
club, but now we make it a point of to emphasize it.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna meet at this place and run, but there's also, so here's run club and then here's weekend club,
Yeah.
right? So like we're going to get coffee or drinks or something at somewhere every week after whatever it is that we're doing. Some people can just come out for that.
Yeah.
I got my own thing. I got to work. I gotta run 12. I just don't feel like running, but I like the coffee here. I'm gonna
Yeah.
show up or
Yeah.
whatever. But you mainly do it so
No run today.
um you're mainly doing it so we can continue to connect and
Mhm.
build as humans and as people.
Yeah.
Beyond, like you said, like beyond the like beyond the running.
Yeah.
And normally when we're at the coffee shop or the coffee shop always turns into like, all right, what's the closest bar? Are
Yeah.
we gonna have one, or are we, not always, but like you like to have an adult
Yeah,
beverage
yeah.
every
No,
once in a while.
runners, we love our
So
beer.
we,
Yeah.
when we're having the conversations, yeah, the denominator is the running, the race, the
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
But like there is no fraction without the numerator.
Yeah.
And the numerator piece, I just made this up as you were talking. It's like, how's the family? How's
Yeah.
the dog? How the, like
Yeah.
anything other
Yeah.
than how's your life?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how was your food?
Yeah.
Anything that's going to get you to connect
Yeah.
beyond like just talking about, oh, I saw on Strava you
Mhm.
did this.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like,
But to your point though, Brody, is also cultivating a space that feels welcoming. You know what I mean? Because for someone to be able to share those innermost thoughts and feelings about like what's really going on in their life outside of running, they have to feel as though this is a safe space for me to be able to voice
yeah,
that. And so you really, if you're a leader or if it's just you really have to, I don't know, do kind of like a self-realization and realize or just kind of examine what you're offering to a group, or when you're showing up, like, how can I continue to, I don't know, better my life, but also be a catalyst of joy for someone else, right? Like for someone else to come to this group run, it might be their very first group run, and if you like have a conversation with them, they're like, okay, I feel a lot better, you know.
Right.
Not everyone's going to dive in about like everything that's going on in their life in that first run, but if you're able to like nurture, cultivate, and kind of like sustain that energy, if you're showing up authentically, if you're showing up and showing them like, hey, this is a safe space, you know, if they show up and they see different people, you know, some people that look like them, but then people who don't look like them, you know,
Right.
the inclusion aspect, because I feel like inclusion is like the standard for diversity, you know, like if we can have a bunch of people that look different, but if I can't show up as my most authentic self, if I can't share my opinions, if I can't share like, you know, how I grew up, my background, and just once again, like who I am and what I enjoy doing, then why are we even coming together? You know, you're just checking off boxes.
You're more inclined to come back
Yeah.
if you like the people who are
Yeah.
there. This is Philly.
Yeah.
This is not some one light town
Yeah.
where like the only thing that's going is us.
Yeah.
So you either run with us or not.
Yeah.
It's not that sort of vibe here. So, and especially the places we were like, you could go to Kelly, you can go to Lloyd Hall on a Saturday and catch 30 different run groups all running at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Pick
Yeah.
your poison and just roll. You know, so if the people, if they like the vibe
Yeah.
and connect with the people, they're more inclined to
Oh, absolutely.
to come back.
Yeah. And
Versus like we just ran and everybody was quiet and then went there. So, unless that's what you're looking for.
yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely, man. And I feel as though that every single running group within Philadelphia, they're very intentional about making those connections. Like every running group that I have attended, showed up for, everyone is intentional about connecting with the people that show up. You know, they have like icebreakers at the very
Yeah.
beginning, you know, introducing yourself, tell us your pronouns, like queer run. Like, you know, Josh does an amazing job with queer run. Sunny does an amazing job with like with these icebreakers. You do an amazing job with OPAC, Craig with Mirror Mouse, and giving people the platform and a space to just, okay, is this your first time running with us? You know, Sarah Tambia with Philly Runner on those Thursday night group runs, she's like, hey, is this like anyone's first time running with Philadelphia Runner?
Right.
Okay, come back next week, you know? And everyone just allows the space for people to just, I don't know, just kind of bridge the gap almost, or kind of have that icebreaker where they don't feel as nervous. Obviously, you'll have people who are a little bit more extroverted and a little bit more introverted, but once again, it's just the intention behind it all, you know. And I feel as though every single running group in Philadelphia, you know, everyone has like they're laying their niche or like, you know, what they have to offer, but I will say everyone is super intentional about creating a safe space that is welcoming. Which is why, yeah, I wanted to just kind of like share that vulnerable piece.
Yeah.
Over the spring summer, because it was like, man, this is my community. It's time for me to be vulnerable, you know.
Dude.
Especially as another thing too, like being, you know, Black and brown, you know, sometimes like the mental health thing we don't want to discuss.
Right.
And I feel like that's another thing for me where I wanted to stand up and tell my story, but also feeling like, okay, here's a Black man talking about mental health, right? When most people wouldn't necessarily think that we would be talking about those things.
Right.
Because it's automatically deemed for us to just be strong, you know, and not necessarily give those certain things attention. That's another conversation for
1000%.
sure. But yeah,
1000%.
yeah.
In our community, and not all of it obviously, but a lot of times in our community, there's certain things that like you just can't be.
Yeah.
And like
yeah.
if you say you're having like anxiety or depression, it's like, oh,
Do
you
the
soft.
dishes.
Yeah, stop being so soft.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas like you'll power through it, you know, and you know, so I don't know how old you are, but I'm 45, and so I'm on the borderline of like, oh, you got to power through it,
Yeah.
and like, no, you need to sit your ass down and reflect on what's
Yeah.
going on, and
Yeah.
like, you know, take a breath before, you know, you don't check whatever it is going on,
Yeah, let's unpack it.
and then you can't control it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And then it gets to a point where like you can't control it.
Yeah.
Are you Bruce Banner or are you the Hulk? How are
Yeah.
you going outside?
Yeah,
You know what I'm
absolutely.
saying?
Yeah, yeah. So self-regulation. You got to sit down with yourself and realize that you kind of want to break those generational curses. You know, like I don't want to be someone who avoids the mental health. I don't want to be someone who kind of like put these things on the back burner.
When you talked about the love of running and that relationship, that's my favorite part about running by myself.
Yeah,
Because
same.
there's so many times that I've left wherever I was in one state of mind and returned totally different.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because you're like thinking, you're sorting out, you're going through the ebbs and flow of the run and
Yeah.
your emotions at the same time.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and I run with music, unless I'm in a
Same.
group, then I don't wear headphones. But and so like the playlist and like what's on and how it correlates to like the mood, and it's just like it sounds cliche, but it's just so therapeutic,
Yeah.
at times.
It is. Yeah.
And I don't get that at the gym. When I go to the gym and I'm like lifting, I'm just fired up the entire time because
Yeah.
I'm trying to like, especially if it's like a max day, like it's
Yeah.
game time. I can't even think about anything else but like the next one. But when I'm
Yeah.
running,
Yeah.
it's just different and like, you know, it's just
It's a different energy,
it's
especially by
yeah,
yourself,
yeah,
for sure.
it's a different vibe.
You step out there
Yeah,
and your mind is in one place, and then when you're done with the run, because it's so exhilarating, you come
right,
back and you forgot about the problem, you know?
right,
Yeah. But also being able to be present with the run too. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, yeah, you're there and you're kind of working things out through your head, but also being so grateful for, like, being having the opportunity to go outside and, see nature, see other people running.
right.
Like, definitely counting the blessings along the run.
I'm in this stage now where I have this playlist. It's called Adult Angst,
Yeah.
and it's just like 70s punk rock, 80s hip hop, and new wave, like whatever, 90s grunge. Everybody Hurts by REM. When you're younger, you're singing these songs like sometimes you don't know what the hell is going on,
Yeah.
and then when you get older and you really listen to the lyrics, you're like, oh shit, I was singing this song in front of my mom. Maybe I shouldn't have been.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like Everybody Hurts Sometime is like when you're 7 or 12 and you're singing the song, it's because it's catchy and you like
Yeah.
the beat and the videos in black and white or whatever. And then you get older and you're like, yo, everybody does hurt. You're not the
Yeah.
only person that's going through something. So in the same time, you want somebody to speak nice to you,
Yeah.
speak nice to other people too,
Oh,
because
exactly. Yeah.
you never know when this person could be on the what they just came from or where they're getting ready to go or
Yeah.
where they are at that moment
Yeah.
and
100%, man. Yeah.
in life.
Do you say hi to people along your runs? Like you're just waving or
You
the
know,
nod?
that's funny because I live in Wayne,
Yeah.
and so like most of the times when I'm running, I'm the only black person
Mhm.
running, right? And so I typically wave to other runners, or do like the head nod, just the
Yeah.
acknowledgement,
Good for
like
a
that we're
nod.
both
Yeah.
out here like doing the same thing. I'm more cognizant of like which hand I use to wave after the George Floyd shit. So
Mhm.
typically I wave with the hand that's the furthest from the person.
Yeah.
So this person doesn't think that I'm reaching for. Now I don't run in
Something on
fear
that
or anything
person.
like that, but it's mainly so to like, here's some big ass black dude running towards me, probably in all black.
Yeah.
So if I wave with this hand, you know, it's
It's a
not
little bit
as
more friendlier, you
it's
know?
not as threatening as
Yeah.
you know. But I do in the city. I don't. It's
Mhm.
a lawless society in the city. You
Yeah.
run in the city. It's a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in the suburbs, I always wave unless I'm like on Radnor Trail where everybody's running. Then it's just too much work,
Mhm.
and then it's just like let me just lock in to
Yeah.
what's going on. Um, but I do do a wave. I try to be. I don't try to be friendly animal. But when
Yeah.
I think about it, I
Yeah.
try to be
Same.
friendly.
Most
Yeah.
of the time I'm like locked in. And I was gonna ask about your genre. Like my genre to listen to when I'm on the run is always like house, like EDM, dance.
Right.
So when I get that really good house song going, oh, like I don't look at anyone. I'm just locking in
Right.
focus. Like feet running, looking at the ground, looking at the destination, like where I'm going to. Okay, if I'm just going to that pole, that's it. And I had to like realize like people are waving to me at the same time. They're like, "Oh, hey," and I'm like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" You
Right.
know, but also do it with enthusiasm. Like I'm actually excited to wave to them. It's just interesting because you just never know. Like just giving someone a nod or like a wave gives them that extra motivation to continue. They may just need that, and they could be at the very end of their run.
You know, it's funny you say that because this is gonna sound ridiculously cocky and conceited, but whatever, right? I'm a
Oh no,
Leo.
dude, please, yeah,
Sometimes I wish I told Jamie that I was never running another race in Philly because there's a joy of like just running and not being popular
mm-hmm.
and not people are shouting your name or cheering for you or whatever. And like, if you're struggling, sometimes I just want to struggle by myself.
Yeah, I feel
You get what
that.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, so, and it is an added pressure of like when it's not your day. Like my last race wasn't my day. I knew it. It didn't even take a mile. It
Yeah.
was like the first verse of the whatever song I was listening to. This ain't it,
Hmm.
And so like I felt a
Immediately.
lot of pressure of like everybody was like, bro, and I wanted to show love because I love everybody, but I just wanted to struggle in peace,
Yeah.
get through it, let me reset what happened, and like better prepare myself for like the next time out. So that was one time. It was the PDR 5K last year where I didn't wave to anybody. I heard people calling my name, and I just needed to like. I was embracing the hurt.
Yeah.
I needed to like. I needed it,
Hmm.
and so I didn't want to bring anybody else into that trauma.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, I just got to just be locked into like what is happening here, and like I call it cheating running. Have I been cheating running? You know how you start running, this is me taking running for granted. You start running and you progressing your distances and your times or whatever. So that like everybody has this locked in, like at any given moment I can go out and run X amount of miles, no problem. So that like Broad Street's coming up.
Yeah.
I can run Broad Street without training because like I know I can run 10 miles. So you
Mm.
start cheating the process, right?
Hmm.
You
Oh,
don't
same.
train, you went out the night before and got trashed off of double IPAs and
Yep.
like the whole process. So this is one of these moments where like I have been cheating running for a long period of time, and on race day, I couldn't get there,
Yeah.
and it was humbling. And
It's like, oh, you thought.
I didn't want to bring
Yeah.
anybody else to it. I just needed it to be
Yeah.
like this is collapsing, and I just wanted to like I wish that I was in like another city so I
Yeah.
could just like collapse by myself without being rude to people who are trying to say hi, but
Yeah.
then also like not bringing down their race experience if they're having an awesome day, and I look over to them with a scowl and they're just like, "What an asshole."
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
like head down the whole time, like just trying to get through it, and then like post race up, I wasn't trying to be rude. I was just
Yeah.
having a day, and I
They're like,
just
I'm
needed.
cheering you on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, like yo, dude, I'm trying to help you out. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So anybody who I didn't apologize to, I'm sorry. I was just having a moment.
Yeah.
I just needed to like hurt.
Yeah.
I needed to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brody is so valid though, man. And I feel like a lot of people will resonate with that for sure. I definitely resonate with that too. Because
yeah. I
sometimes I
just
just
needed
don't
to.
want to hear the noise. Sometimes I just want to lock in and be focused and just do this for myself. But then getting back to like what we were talking about before, sometimes it is for other people at the same time.
Yeah,
But like having a little bit of detachment with it too, where like it's more so for the internal validation, but just knowing that people are looking up to you.
it
But
was
hearing your story.
it was embarrassing too because I felt like I love run walking, but this particular race, I was walking more than I was running. I felt like
Mm-hmm.
every time somebody saw me, I was in a walk. So it was like I wasn't even running.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was starting to be embarrassing too. So I was just like, this sucks so
Yeah.
badly. And it wasn't like I was wearing all OPAC shit. You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't even
Yeah.
hide. It was
Yeah.
my nightmare. But it made me it made me appreciate you need to be humbled by running.
Yeah.
So it made me appreciate that, like, oh, even for, I don't want to say only because some people can't run 3 miles, and I'm respectful of that. But even for this 5K, I had taken running for granted. And that was the running gods being like, no, dog,
Yeah.
no, no,
Yeah.
no, no.
Like, do you see this guy? I'm curious, when you in the quiet seasons, right? Like when you or in the moments of victory and accomplishment, when you cross that finish line after, potentially thinking that you weren't going to make it, you're
Right,
kind of trying to fight those demons inside, the voice in the back of your head that's telling you like you can't do this, or your body is physically telling you you probably can't, but you're still pushing through. When you are done with like OPAC relays or like a Philly United event, like what is that feeling like, when everything has settled and you're able to sit back and you're, in the comfort of your own home and you're looking at these social media posts about like Philly United or OPEC relays and looking at like the recaps, like what is going through your mind, like a feeling of accomplishment, like serving the community, like
right. There's two different feelings. When it's a race, right, it's like My favorite part, one of my favorite parts about running is when runners running in its in its peak awesomeness is when I was in New York for a marathon this year on Saturday, basically just to shop at pop-ups.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I wasn't staying in the chair. I wanted to hit up a couple spots, Bandit, check out Endorphins, hit up New York,
Yeah.
everybody's got something. I'm
Everything's
just
in there.
I'm just doing the
Everything's in New
circuit.
York City. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just doing the circuit. I spent no money all week. I'm up here to shop and eat and chill and then whatever. So I ran into one of my homies. It's a marathon. So you're gonna see, I ran into one of the homies from Harlem and he was like, "You running a marathon tomorrow?" Now I've never run a marathon ever. My first race was a half marathon. I will eventually run a marathon, but I'm not a marathoner. But runners do that all the time. He asked me with no doubt and no judgment that I could accomplish this. And
Yeah.
to me, that is like peak run community. I know you as a person. I know you could do anything you put your mind to. And so like even though you are up here in Birkenstocks and like like
Yeah.
a bigger athlete, you know, I'm not gonna take it upon myself to assume that you can't do this. So I'm asking you with total sincerely, you running a marathon, and
Mm-hmm.
I love that shit
Yeah.
because it's like okay, because it's just validation. Like we can all do whatever we want to if we put
Yeah.
our mind. That's to me, that's one of the most underrated things about running. When somebody says like, "Oh, Broadstreet's coming out," or "Are you doing it?" This person might not have run 2 miles, but the fact that you ask them with the belief that they can do it is
Yeah.
incredible. Now, for an event, right? Oh, and crossing the finish line is like there is nothing like crossing a finish line because it's like the tangible representation of
Mm-hmm.
like accomplishing a goal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter how you got there if you didn't cheat, right? If you took the subway
Mm-hmm.
at Broad and Lehigh
Yeah.
and got off at Oregon and ran 2 miles, that's a
You're so
different
true.
ball game.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
ran those 10 miles, or either 3 miles or the 6.2 or
Any.
whatever,
Yeah.
through South Street, Philly 10K, it's hot as hell.
Dude, I know. That's some
There's no trees because it's
at
South
all. Yeah.
Philly. It's the part of
Running
South
through that
Philly without the
Italian
trees.
market. Yeah.
And so like, when you get to the finish line, there's like nothing. The hardest part is getting to the start line
Yeah.
and to see yourself to the finish line. So I love that. But with an event, I always ask these questions of like, if you watch like a rock, you listen to house music. So take your favorite house artist, right? And the song they made, that's just a classic.
Mm-hmm.
Did this artist know during the making of the song that it was a banger?
Mm-hmm.
Take a song everybody knows, like a Juicy by Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah.
or Bon Jovi Living on a Prayer, and you watch these documentaries, and Bon Jovi's like, I wasn't even gonna put this on the album, dude. It's an anthem. It's a
Yeah.
banger.
Yeah.
So like, do you know in the moment that you are like crushing it?
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes when you're in the moment and they're like, yo, we are. I know you said I could curse, and I'm trying not to use F bombs and edit how we
Yeah.
want to, but like, there's no other way to say this. When you are fucking crushing it, right, and you know it, that is you can't even put words around that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're in an event and you're at like last year's OPAC relays was a whirlwind. So 2 years ago, I knew when we were doing OPAC relays that we were crushing it while it was happening.
Yeah.
So that made the going into like the downtime that much special because I went into the downtime after Brush Sheet knowing and like, yo, we just killed it.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you don't get a chance to like think about it.
Yeah. Reflect. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like you're planning the event, you're having an event, you're recapping the event.
Yeah.
People forget about the recap part
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So you
Yeah.
got to recap the event. So you're still in the event
Yeah.
when it's
Mm-hmm.
over. But when you're just sitting there and you're just thinking about it, and it's just like you're watching all of the social media. Social media lets you know right away.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
tags,
absolutely.
the
Mm-hmm.
mentions, the when we're to collaborate, like the growth of membership and viewership
The
and,
scale of
and
the
all of the stuff,
engagement.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it just lets you know immediately. And so when that's happening, it's just like it's just super humbling because
Yeah.
again, you know, it could be somebody else
Yeah.
doing this and being entrusted with this awesome thing. But
Yeah.
when it finally dies down and you think about it, I have to honestly force myself to appreciate it because I come from a sports background where it's like you won the championship and confetti's coming down and you're before you even walk off the court with your championship hat and your t-shirt, you're already thinking about the parade, the recruiting. I was a director of equipment, so the gear
Hmm.
piece, the giveaway piece, all the alumni is gonna get, and so like you have to sometimes you have to force yourself to turn it off
Yeah.
in order to be like, but I chose this, so
Yeah.
I can't be mad.
Yeah.
It's not like somebody forced me to do this. I wanted this, so
Yeah.
I can't be mad. But like, and I'm sure you've seen it too with like successful events. So like we'll do this podcast. I'll go home
Yeah.
and chill.
Yeah.
You'll be thinking about I should have asked this question. I
Hmm.
should have. I wish I did. I wish like all of the
Yeah.
things. Like you
Yeah.
got to
No, so
force
true.
yourself to.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You and we live in a culture where if you watch sports or entertainment in
Yeah.
any way and you look at like the greats and you hear people say stuff like they just won a game and it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna enjoy it for tonight and then tomorrow we get right back to it. So I try to force myself to calm down and like enjoy
Hmm.
this. So sometimes what we'll do after OPAC relays last weekend in April, Broad Street first weekend in May. You
Yeah.
got to be up for both.
Yep.
That next weekend, nothing. So
Yeah.
we could just all chill and sometimes it's Mother's Day, so you want to give your family if you're doing a family thing that time anyway. But like nothing planned, so you could just sit there and be like, at least have a chance to catch your breath and say
Yeah.
like, all right,
Yeah.
all right, all right, all right, chill. But I'm gonna be honest with you because I come from this background. When we last year's OPAC relays, we had the most people. It
Hmm.
was every year has been great.
Yeah.
Even the years when we only had like 40 people, it's been great because it got you to where you're. 2 years ago, I keep going back to that because like you were a part of the whole thing, so you get it.
Yeah. And that
two
was so
years
much fun.
ago, after we had the most people ever at that time, we had the best turnout. Everybody had a great time, sneakers, the whole thing or whatever. You know what I did the next day? I fucking went back to New Deck Tavern
Yeah.
to meet with the managers and the owners to say, like, how can we be better next year? I didn't even give myself the
That
night
time off. Yeah.
I gave
Yeah.
myself, by the time I kicked the hangover to,
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
go in
Yeah.
there and,
Yeah.
like, how can it be better next
Exactly.
year?
Already thinking about next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I've learned to force myself to
Give yourself some time to
enjoy
rest.
it.
Yeah.
What's the point of doing it if it's fun if you don't get a chance to enjoy it?
Yeah. Exactly. Brody, this has been a pleasure, my friend. We have to wrap up in about 10, so I want to ask you one last and final question.
Okay.
What do you want or hope that your legacy will be with OPAC, your character, like how you show up for the community, how inviting you are, how community driven you are, and just how like so loving, man. Like I really appreciate you. I appreciate the brotherhood as well. So what would you want your legacy to be for the Philly running community and just in life?
What would you do if I gave you that Mike Tyson answer? Like, I don't think about legacy. Remember the
Yeah.
little girl asked him,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
spazzed out, and you were like, yo, Mike, she's 7. Chill out, Mike. Um,
Don't smack me.
no. I I guess I never thought about it.
Yeah.
I want people to think about OPAC as like a safe space for everybody.
Yeah.
Or as many people as possible. You can't be everything to everybody,
Yeah.
but you can strive towards that. So if people are thinking about OPAC, if it stopped today as a place, as a community, as a family, where we were all always striving to make everybody feel welcome and safe, then that would be ideal. You know, that's the politically correct answer. Now, the unpopular, I can't believe you said that answer, is like, think about it, we had the illest gear and the best parties and all that. But like at the end of the day, it's like if you and your legacy could be after one.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
one event.
You got a friend coming in from out of town. Y'all come to OPAC. This person's never going to run with us ever again.
Yeah.
So that one run club is going to
setting the tone for that. Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
Did they come? Did this person, he, she, or they show up and leave knowing that they genuinely and organically felt welcome and felt safe the entire time? And if we weren't meeting that, were we acknowledging it and trying to get it right the next time?
Yeah.
So that's what I would want for OPAC. And as a place where if you're ingrained in our community, that you think and feel as though we are doing everything in our power to make sure that you have an end-to-end complete running experience.
Yeah.
End-to-end, I saw that from Steve Jobs, you know. But like, are you getting all of the R's? Are you getting the race training that you need or pointed in the right direction? Are you getting the race experience with cheer sections and the post-run brunch and all of that stuff? Is the run club great? All of the things. Are we a family that you believe cares about the general goodwill of society and wants to like have a fundraiser for the LA wildfires and not just we're selling merch so I can go out and buy the next polo jacket?
Yeah.
You know, and me personally, as a person in the running community, just aligned with that. Like, if I was to not be here tomorrow, I would want people to be like, yo, homeboy generally and truly cared about. He wasn't just saying that shit because it's on his job description.
Yeah.
Or he wasn't just, he wasn't just, you know, trying to be kind to us and inviting because he was trying to pad the stats for Philly United, you know, or get more teams at OPAC or OPAC Expo. And I think that's why, for the most part, you know, everywhere I go or when I see other run clubs, I truly get love because I truly do really, you know, there have been people in OPAC who have left OPAC to start their own clubs and were like, yo, I want to reach out to you for some advice. And I'll do that, you know what I'm saying? Because like, at the end of the day, it's not about just one group. If one group in the city is popping, then the city's not popping. The group is popping. But if multiple groups got something cool going on, then out-of-towners and in-towners can be like, oh, the Philly running community is truly, truly thriving.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
Tough part is trying to balance the community and the competition piece because we're all got to find time to train and not cheat running. But if people left me and OPAC thinking that like everything was genuine, and always about comprehensive inclusivity, and if it wasn't, they were willing to take the steps to try to get to that. That's all you can ask for, man.
100%, Brodie. I appreciate that very real answer. I appreciate you meeting me today for this conversation. This
man,
was wonderful.
To be here.
An extreme delight. And I really think that all of the runners, you know, the Philadelphia running community, fitness community, viewers and listeners are really going to appreciate everything that you've had to say today. So thank you so much.
Likewise, man. I'm glad you shared your piece. And it's not a conversation if it's just one person talking.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah,
thank you.
100%. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in today. If you like this episode, please like, comment, and subscribe and share with others. Thank you so much and stay square.